Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Shelbyville Now Sports Live. We're here this beautiful Saturday morning to talk about some high school sports. I've got with me Mr. Bill Anderson and Mr. Kenny Parker. I'm David Thomas, and we want to thank Mr. Randy Carroll this morning for sponsoring our show. Mr. Randy is a candidate for city mayor. Our election is November the 8th, and we encourage you to get out and vote. Let's pause real quick and get a word from him.
Hello folks, my name is Randy Carroll and I'm a candidate for Shelbyville City Mayor. And the early voting starts October the 19th and the election day is November the 8th. If you want lower taxes in Shelbyville, you vote for Randy Carroll.
Again, we want to thank Mr. Randy Carroll for being our sponsor this morning. And guys, we're winding down the season now. We've got all of our Bedford County teams have ended their season. And we've got some postseason play coming up. But let's take a look at what happened last night for each team and then talk about overall their season. Let's start out with Webb. Kenny, I know you went to the Webb game last night. How did that turn out?
It was almost left at halftime because it was 22-4. Webb got two safeties in the first half, and one of them was a play that I'd never seen before. Webb kicked a field goal. Partially blocked, and it rolled down to about the 3-yard line. And Lakeway, the team that they played, went down and kicked it out of the back of the end zone.
I never heard of that one.
Really?
And officials ruled inappropriate touching, and then they came back and called that and then gave them a safety. Well, I never seen it before. I thought maybe at the time it was the right call, but come to find out it wasn't. Because on any kicks in high school football, when it goes in the end zone, it comes out to the 20.
Right. Automatic touchback.
Well, what should have been called is an inappropriate touching, and that's a 10-yard penalty. Well, at the 3, you just moved it half a distance. But anyway, but man, the second half, that game wound up 52-45.
A blowout. It's just running down the field.
And Webb came out in the second half, threw a little screen pass. He went the distance, and after that, the track meet was on. Webb took the lead late in the game and came from behind, took a lead. Then Lakeway scored, took the lead. Webb scored, took the lead, and they had the lead with like 2 minutes left to go in the game, 3 minutes. And Lakeway hit a little screen pass. Kid made a good run, and they scored with 30 seconds left to go up by 7. But find out that the winner of that game was went to the playoffs. The loser was done.
All right,
so Webb's not in the play. According to what I heard last night, they're not in the playoffs.
So they ended up playing good this last game, but overall their season has to be disappointing. They had a couple wins in there, and
they're young. They only had 4 seniors.
Yeah, not many on the team either.
It was senior night. Yeah, it was senior night, and I think they only had 4 or 5 seniors, and one of them was hurt. So I got some good-looking kids. I mean, they played well last night, and that team that they played looked pretty decent.
Well, they've got some young talent coming up. The coaching staff can take this, and they can start working on next year right now.
Yeah.
And they can start today. When that whistle blew last night, they start working on next season. And maybe they can get some more kids out to play. That's got to help them as well. All right, so Webb, congratulations on a good game last night. Came up a little short, but we look forward to seeing you guys play next year and build on what y'all done this year. Community ended up playing Grundy County on Thursday night. What was the final score of that one, guys?
28-20 Grundy County.
Grundy County. So that was a close game. Grundy County came in to that game winless, and they walked away with a win. So Community, I know, is disappointed to lose that game. What does that do for their season? That winds them down. They're done. They're in that tough region, and they really didn't even have a chance going into last night to to make it, did they?
Well, yeah, I think they did.
If some losses happened.
Well, no. The winner of that game
Oh,
was
really?
definitely
Oh,
fourth.
okay.
The winner of that's a 5-team region.
Okay, I thought they had 6 in there.
You know, that was a 5-team region, and winner of that game was in. Community season took a big turn when they lost their
Good receiver.
man.
Yeah.
When
Fleming.
the Fleming guy got hit, but they had been playing pretty well. Again, they'd had some adversity. They've had some injuries, and they lost Fleming, and then their quarterback, the Grooms kid, he got hurt and banged up, and he was questionable. I don't know how much. I'm sure he played because he had gutted it out, but they had to go through some tough times there at the end.
Yeah, well, overall, they've got to be disappointed in their season. And again, same thing happens with community. They take what they did, take what they've got coming back, and start building for next year.
Yep.
That's the way it works. You've been down that path before. All right, let's shift now to Central. Central traveled up to Cookeville last night. Played a region game. We're in the playoffs. But
that game was for third place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was for third. We beat Cookeville. We end up being third and have a different adversary coming up in the playoffs.
Played really good the second half. Scored more points than we've scored all year. Scored 43. The problem was we got in such a hole the first half and got down.
Really?
At one point, I was listening back and forth. I was mostly listening to the Cascade game, but it was 41 to 20. And in the second half, Shelbyville. But, once you're down that much,
it's hard to
43 is the most points we'd scored all year. But we just
giving up 54 points. Oh, yeah. Well, you have – there's just a lot of things going on when another team scores 54 points on you. I mean, but being able to score 43, they had to be fighting. They didn't quit. Obviously, they stuck with it and kept on fighting. So they ended up 1-9, and they ended up in the playoffs.
And the difference was, did you want to? Obviously, you don't want to play Blackman or Oakland, but we'd have rather have played if we won Blackman. Now we got to go to Oakland.
And that's who you played last year in the first round.
Yeah. It's a tough chore. I think Oakland ends up being our state champion. It's going to be between them and
Oakland beats Rockville last night, 49-7. I think they got all 49 in the first half.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And then just let it off with the running clock or what have you.
Well, Central faces Oakland. Is it next week, or is there a week gap?
Next week.
It's next
Friday,
week. It'll be the first round at Oakland. It's going to be a tough year. I know they're not pleased with this season, but again, the same thing with them. What they've done this year, they've got they had very few seniors, so we're going to have a lot of young talent coming back, and coaching staff will have to start at the whistle at the end of their last game and start working for next year.
And you got that really good group from Harris coming up. The freshman group's a good-looking group. You got a good-looking sophomore group. So there's some talent coming here, and we're going back down to 5A, not 6A.
Yeah, and we got to get stronger on the line.
Absolutely.
A lot of things to work on, and the challenges there, and the kids are going to work. So we look forward to seeing what happens this coming week.
Those scores from the region last night.
Yeah,
Lebanon beat Warren County 28-7, but Coffee County, what a year they've had. They beat Ray County, and I remember back in the day, Ray County was tough. It was 35-0 Coffee County.
Coffee County
has been pretty good.
They finished 8-2, didn't they?
Yes.
They've had their program has been down for a long time, and it's kind of working its way back up. And now they might scare some people.
Coach, you may know, how big is Coffee County student wise? Because someone's giving me it's a big school.
It's a big school. It's a big school. The young man that played at UT that went to Coffee County,
Lonte Taylor.
You look at before Alonte, they weren't very good. He comes in, he's a good athlete. They start getting a little success. Hey, we can play a little bit. And look what's happened to them since it all goes back to confidence. And you get a little confidence in the season. You work a little harder in the off season. A few kids that were walking the hallways are
thinking about
playing ball. And when you got that many, I don't know how many they are, but they're a big school. there's people in the hallways that can help you.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Always. And that's just,
Kenny, how many times you walk down the hall and walk up to a young man and say, "Hey, why don't you come play football with us?"
never.
Never. What happened? How'd that work?
For me, he better not ask me, because I wanted them to make the first initiative.
Right.
Now I may say, "Hey David, Bill over there's a pretty good athlete. You might want to say something to him about playing ball." And then if Bill came to me, then we'd talk. But I never would go to him. I want them to make, because I wanted them to want to play,
Right.
not to feel like they were obligated to play.
Gotcha. All right.
When you want something, you'll work for
Or
it.
Coach Thaxton would ask him, wouldn't he? I remember him.
Oh,
He
yeah.
Hey, you'll play football? Come here.
And you do that enough, you just sort of. But that was my approach.
Yeah.
Not to say that's correct.
I think that's a good way to do it, because it tells you something on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So Central faces Oakland next week. We want to wish them a lot of luck, because Oakland is a tough one. All right. What have we got left here, guys? Cascade. Our bright spot of the evening went to Summertown. 126-7. They finished 6-4 on the season, and where does that put them in the region? Third?
Well, no, they're fourth. They're
okay.
fourth. They last week, it was last week when they lost to Loretta. That was the big one. So they had. Here's a difference in throwing the football and running the football. Okay.
All right.
It's halftime, a web game, and both of these teams are throwing the chunking the ball everywhere. I called my buddy Mike Lover, and whose son Sawyer's playing. I said, "Mike, how's it going?" He said, "Well, we're in the fourth quarter, and there's about 7 minutes left to go in the game, and we're at halftime at Webb, and they're in the fourth quarter." So that's what throwing the ball and letting the clock, letting the clock run, and then running the ball and letting the clock run. We're not even we ain't even kicked off third quarter, and they're almost finished.
Yeah.
But I think they played pretty well. Just going by what he said.
I listened to most of the game, and it just sounded like Summertown had a hard time moving the football. Cascade played real well in defense. They ran the football, again, had a couple turnovers here and there, but I don't know how good Summertown was. However, that's on the road. It's a good win.
We think about the Cascade defense.
Yeah.
They're playing pretty good all year. They've been pretty good all year. And I had a bunch of people say, "What do you think about the game?" I said, "What's Cascade's nemesis? They turn the ball over. If you don't turn it over." And that they had turned the ball over in the 4 games that they lost, getting ready to score,
right,
and then letting the other either scoop and score or hit a big play. Yeah. And that's what hurt them. And Cascade's lost 4 games. Pretty good teams.
Yes.
Moore County, Mount Pleasant, Richland.
All right.
Summertown. I mean, they pretty and felt like they had a chance to win
last week
and turned
on the road. Cascade's at 13-6 at the half. What did they do the second half? They turned it over 4 times. I mean, that game, even though they lost, if you look at it and take those turnovers away, they would have won the last week.
I'm gonna throw a scenario out. This formula right here, Kenny. Good defense.
Yep.
Protecting the football. Take advantage of your opportunities on offense. You're gonna win a lot of ball games.
Exactly.
Now that's boring to some people, but I'll tell you what. That is basically controlling a ball game.
Let me tell you right now. It might be boring, but it's winning, and ain't nothing boring about winning.
Exactly.
Nothing boring about winning.
And now that everybody's running these spread offenses, how hard is it for you to have to play someone that runs the football now, because you're not used to it, because you just played 4 teams in a row that are running the spread. Now, if you can come in and be physical and run the football, I think that's an advantage now, because not everybody's doing it.
I don't like all this read option stuff and all this spread stuff. You look at what it did to Tennessee. It cost them a turnover in the game against Alabama. They put the ball on for all this read option stuff. But
that's pretty good spread, though.
yeah.
Let's not go with that one.
You scoring them points.
I know.
Yeah.
But for Cascade, Chase Brown, Zamari Dixon, and Sawyer Lovern all had touchdowns last night. And then the Connor Huey kid went over 1,000 yards on the season last
they were
night.
pounding him last night. He was running the football.
He's a player.
Any idea how many times they passed the ball?
I do not know.
I don't know either.
So Jake's theory is very similar to the way you played.
He played for me.
Yeah, I know. And
But-
you
But
know,
I'm telling you, you got to use what you got.
That's
exactly.
right. That's
it.
exactly
You
right.
got to coach to your talent.
Yep.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, if you've got an offensive line, and that's what they're pretty good up front, you let the big boys pound.
Yep. Yeah.
And you let your others come in behind them, and that's just the way.
I'll never forget when James Franklin got the Vanderbilt job. And this goes back to what you were saying. They were interviewing him. I said, Coach, what are you going to run? And he said, what can these kids do? Because if I have to, I'll run the wishbone.
Yeah.
What can these kids do? It's not what I want to do. It's
Right.
what I have and what they can
Right.
do. And that's correct.
That matches you.
It can't be what you want. It's
Yeah.
got to be what can my kids do and put them in the best position to be successful.
And and Cascade will have to go on the road this week.
Where they go?
Where are they going?
Well, Decatur County Riverside, which is where Coach Frost that
They had a
coached,
good year.
coached with me. They played Lewis County last night for all the marbles. Lewis County beat them 15-14.
Yeah, I saw that score.
So Cascade will go to Lewis County, which is where they actually went. Like Shelbyville, Cascade went to Lewis County last year at the same time. I think he just lost it, did we? Oh, okay.
I'm
Another interesting score last night, if y'all kept up with it, was Richland barely beat Loretta last night, 41-40. Is that right?
Hey, I called Brad McTeague, who's in the high school official, and it's good in his rule book. He's been a white hat son. Because I called him, I said, Brad, I want to know about this web, that the play that I told you. And Brad said, he had that game, and he said that both teams were just wearing each other out. And he said it was one of those, as an official, you knew is going to be at the end. And he said, let's see, Richland wound up winning. Correct?
41-40 by 1
Yeah,
point.
Okay.
1 point.
Well, they scored. Let's see. They scored and were up a touchdown on Summertown. No, I mean
Loretta.
on Loretta. And the kicker went to pooch it instead of kicking deep with like somewhere around a minute.
It sounds familiar. I've seen this done
Said he
before.
kicked it 12 yards.
Uh,
They hit a couple of plays. Anyway, scored right at the end of the game and went for 2. And the quarterback scrambled out or something and fumbled it. He said, and that's how they lost by 1. But he said it was a game, and but two I guess pretty evenly matched teams.
Yeah.
And he said it was at Richland. And he said there was a crowd there.
All right, guys. Well, let's
Mount Pleasant beat Chapel Hill last night, 41-0. Did Richland beat Mount Pleasant? Did
No,
anybody remember?
Mount Pleasant had lost but 1 game
No,
this year.
Okay,
They're sitting at 9-1 right
so they won the region,
now.
right?
They won the region.
Okay.
That
Mount
region
Pleasant.
wound up Mount Pleasant 1, Richland 2, Loretta 3, Cascade 4.
Okay.
All right. Well, congratulations to Central and Cascade moving forward to the playoffs.
Mhm.
It's kind of sad to see the season end for our other 2 teams, but we got another week to talk about high school football next week. Hopefully, we will continue with somebody going on, and we look forward to that. But now I want us to shift gears to college and talk about what's coming up today and take a look at where we're at in the SEC. But I'd like to stop and thank Mr. Randy Carroll once again for sponsoring our show this morning. And let's hear a word from him, and we'll be right back to talk about college football.
Hello, folks. My name is Randy Carroll, and I'm a candidate for Shelbyville City Mayor. And the early voting starts October the 19th, and the election day is November the 8th. If you want lower taxes in Shelbyville, you vote for Randy Carroll.
All right, guys. Welcome back in. We're going to talk about college football now. We're going to take a look at our Southeastern Conference schedule for this week. Last week, how did we fare, Mr. Anderson? You was over
I'm
bragging.
going to take a humble brag on this one. I called the South Carolina A&M game I just don't like the vibe I get from A&M. And Auburn too. That's two schools. I just don't like the vibe when I'm watching them.
Well, Mr. Feinbaum on the Paul Feinbaum show called him out this morning. He didn't show
Call
up.
Bill out.
No,
Yeah,
not Bill. Called Mr. Head Coach from Texas A&M.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Jimbo.
He called him out and said it was very unprofessional and he didn't appreciate it. He didn't show up for a show to prepare. So I had to get that little jab in there. We'll move on now, but congratulations on making that call. Bill, I know that
Y'all all looking like I was a little.
I know it's kind of a little bit. Yeah.
Just took South
All
Carolina.
right, let's talk about Arkansas and Auburn to start with. At Auburn.
That's the Auburn. The vibe's bad. Everything you see is bad. Sorry, honey. It's my wife's school, but I just don't see it.
They are coming off a bye week. You don't ever know, but Arkansas's
Arkansas.
I'm gonna go against the grain. Auburn.
All right.
That'll
work.
All right, I gotta go
Sure,
against that.
That's right. Somebody we need to get upset.
All right, Florida, Georgia, the big game in the SEC this week. Number one, Georgia hosts Florida at home between the hedges. What do y'all see there?
I just don't see a whole lot. Talent-wise, Florida's coming on. Guys done a good job recruiting, but Georgia coming off a bye week again.
Yeah.
I just I don't.
If Florida gets behind here, they're in trouble. I mean, if it gets 10-0, 14-0, they're in trouble.
Georgia did lose a starting safety, but I just say Georgia.
Yeah,
Georgia.
I'm gonna go along with that with you guys on that one. All right, Missouri, South Carolina. South Carolina cracks the top 25. They're ranked 25th now over that big win. So they're playing at Columbia. Missouri comes in there. I see South Carolina taking care of business at home.
Surprising, South Carolina's always a hard place to play. They really support that.
Darn
school. They
rooster
come out
crowing.
and
The rooster crows all day long.
It's a good environment.
Aggravate this thing. Well, I don't even want to talk about it.
I just
but
don't think Missouri's very good. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see it.
I don't see a whole lot of game there.
No. Okay. All right. So you're taking South Carolina on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky at Tennessee.
Gonna be some points scored.
You think so? You think Kentucky's going to put it up? What about their quarterback, though? I mean, he's fighting an injury.
Is he?
Yeah, for the last 3 weeks. He's been kind of.
Here's what I understand about Kentucky. They have maybe the worst offensive line in the SEC. It's one of the worst in college football, and it was one of the best. That poor quarterback's getting pounded every week. I mean, pounded.
He's taking a beating.
And I don't know if it's injuries, if it was graduation, or what it is, but the big difference in Kentucky is they can't pass protect.
Right. I think
Tennessee can rush the passer. They can hit you.
You know, something
their
hit
defense
me.
is great.
I saw something the other day watching a college football show. Tennessee is 122nd out of 130 something teams in the nation in time of possession.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
But they're the number one scoring team in the nation.
Yes. How does that happen? 2-minute drives.
And according to, it makes a lot of sense. Well, we're just going to pound the ball and keep it away from them. Well, they don't care. You give them their 2 minutes, they'll give it right back.
Exactly.
And the same problem we were talking about in the Florida-Georgia game is if Kentucky ever gets behind 10-0, 14-0, this thing's going to be it's going to be on.
But the thing about Kentucky is that's the way Kentucky plays a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the way they play a little bit. But, hey, whenever you play Tennessee, you better be scoring points because they're going to. I don't care who you are.
And Tennessee's defense gives up a lot of yards. They do rush the quarterback well, but I found this stat interesting. They're top 12 in the nation in red zone defense.
Well,
now they've given up a lot of yards and a lot of points, but in the red zone, they're pretty good.
Well, here's one of the things you can consider into that is when you go red zone defense, you're talking about scoring points.
Right.
Most people, when they get in the red zone, they're not going to try to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
So
field goals aren't going to.
Field goals aren't going to be a whole lot for you.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see tonight because they're wearing all the black jerseys with the orange helmets. But I heard Ron Slay say, if y'all hadn't heard it, this dark Rocky Top song they got, and supposedly they're going to lower the lights, and that's how they're coming out. It's not Undertaker wrestler style. We'll see.
Okay.
But apparently it's supposed to be a big deal up there.
All right. How about this? Tennessee, in years past, have some success. They come up against a team like this that they should beat, and they lose. I think that era in Tennessee football is over.
Josh Heupel doesn't do that.
I know.
Well,
He
you
wins when
know,
he's supposed to.
we said the same thing
Yeah.
a few years ago about another team that wore orange
Yeah.
in Clemson.
Yeah.
And they came over the hurdle with that.
Yeah.
So
That's
maybe time for another orange team to be doing that.
all right. So I'm taking Tennessee on that one, and I'm going to say it's going to be 21, 24 point.
49-24 Tennessee.
I think you're about right.
I don't think they'll lose.
All right. Ole Miss, Texas A&M at A&M. You got to think after getting beat that Kiffin is going to like tighten the screws down, and they're going to go into Texas A&M, take care of business.
I'm taking A&M.
You're taking A&M.
Taking A&M.
You know, A&M's got a lot going on. He's got a lot of internal locker room stuff going
Yeah,
on
he does.
right now. Lost three.
What bothered me was the Ole Miss game. It was 17-3 against LSU, and then they get outscored 40-something to 3 or what? That second half they looked horrible.
I just, I don't know. I know who
I just think A&M's got better players, better athletes,
Well, Kiffin will tell you that too because they spent more money on
because they
it.
spent more money. That's right.
And then another thing that A&M's defensive coordinator was Ole Miss's defensive coordinator last year, and Kiffin will tell you, yeah, they outbeat
Got
him
big on that one too.
But I think Ole Miss will win.
All right, let me ask you guys this. If Georgia has a tough game today with Florida, if Florida hangs with them close and it's a close game and they win by a touchdown or less than a touchdown by field goal, what does that do to the polls for Georgia? Do they slide down to number 2 or they stay on top?
Stay right where they're at till somebody beats them.
I can we'll see. You can say the same thing with Ohio State,
Exactly.
Penn State today.
Right.
I just don't see if Georgia wins. I can't see anybody bumping them.
I agree. All right. Any other college games that jump out at you guys?
Well, there's supposedly some pretty good ones on track, according to them. There's Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be a game though.
I don't even think I'll watch it because I just
don't think it'll be a game.
I don't get it.
I'm not very fond of Ohio State.
Yeah. They're pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
they recruit well and they do well, but when you look at the competition, I know everybody says you're an SEC homer, you're an SEC homer. I am. So
yeah,
just
me
go ahead.
too. We all are.
But they haven't played anybody.
No.
And then when an Alabama or a Georgia or a Tennessee, well, they ain't played anybody. Well, they don't see it that they got those blinders on that you sell here for the horses.
Yeah.
They got the horse blinders on, and I don't see how
You won't know what Ohio State's really got till they play Michigan, and that's at the end of the year because they don't play over 2 or 3 really good games all year.
And they'll say, well, Georgia ain't played nobody. Well, they dumped Oregon pretty good
They sure
earlier.
did.
And
Yeah, they
everybody was
did.
talking about Oregon. So
Yeah.
And the SEC's tough. I don't care
I
who it
tell
is.
you,
It's Ole
Oregon
Miss,
has
Mississippi
come back
State, who it
strong.
is.
Oregon has come back strong now. They might be in the thick of this thing at the end too. All right, guys. Thanks for sitting down with me again this morning. Thanks for watching at home there. And again, we want to thank Mr. Randy Carroll for sponsoring our show today. And don't forget, Election Day is November the 8th. Be sure to get out and vote. And guys,
I got a prediction for y'all for tomorrow.
what do you got for
Ryan
tomorrow?
Tannehill sits. Malik Willis makes his first start for the Titans tomorrow afternoon at 3:05. I think they're going to
Well,
sit him and hold him out.
As we end this show, have you bought any kind of Titans material lately?
Yeah, I got a new pair of shoes.
We got to see.
Bill got a new pair of shoes.
We got to
My
see.
wife said I wouldn't do this, but y'all know me. I don't care. Check that out.
Check
Well,
out
we can't see the logo.
All right,
There's the
get it
logo.
right onto the
what
side.
color
Right
blue is that? Oh,
That's
It's that
baby.
Columbia
Baby.
blue. Columbia blue.
Columbia blue.
Yes,
call
sir.
it.
All right, guys, we're going to end on that. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week to talk more college football, high school football, and we look forward to seeing you.